In this episode of Financial Literacy for Beginners, we're going to tell the truth about working a career. Cue the intro. Now, I don't want to step on any toes. I'm not trying to step on any toes. I'm not trying to get hurt up here talking about this, but I want to talk about this because it's very important. I think specifically in the time we're living in right now, that we talk about, how careers are kind of set up and whether they're good. I don't think there's a good and bad, but whether they're right for everybody. Because I think we definitely are sold the notion that going to school, getting a career is, for everybody. We're sold that. We're definitely sold that at large. And I don't necessarily know if that's a good thing all the time. Now, let me just preface this by saying I value careers. I value people who are, able to work in careers, specifically specialized things that people do that everybody can't do. Those things, I do value those things, and I value the way those things work inside of our communities. So I just want to say that I'm not, downing careers. That's not at all what I'm doing. I work a career for many, many years, and I continue to do that, and I value it. So I think a lot of times we are given the wrong idea about careers, and I think, people go down this path of wanting this specific thing that is not really going to contribute to their financial life or contribute to their financial freedom that way, or not going to make them whole or complete. And that's not really talked about, not that jobs have to do that. And, because a job is a job sometimes, and you're there to work a job and you're there to kind of do the things that need to be done with that specific job. But I do want to get to the core of why a lot of times people end up not happy in their careers, and people end up in a place in their lives where they spent a lot of time working in a career that they don't really love or they don't really value and they don't really want to be in. So I think at the core of that, at the core of just working period, we are so caught up sometimes in the notion of this is going to give me the lifestyle I want. This is going to provide this particular lifestyle that I want. And sometimes we choose careers and choose those things based on, just a dollar amount that we think it's going to bring in. We're going to be able to make this money. But the problem with careers that way is that there's a set amount, usually there's a baked in set amount of money that you're going to make at that career. There is a dollar amount that, kind of a cap of what that career is going to make. And when you start to look at things that way, you start to understand that regardless of how much effort I'm putting into this career, regardless of how much effort I'm going to be putting into this, I'm never going to exceed this capped amount. So whether you start out on an entry level of that career or entering from a median standpoint, or if you're at the top of that career, you still can really determine how far you can go by looking at those caps, by looking at, hey, this is only going to make $125,000 a year. So if I work at this for 20 years, I'm still only going to make that amount of money doing this particular career. And if I'm only doing that, but my goal is to become financially free, and I have these goals of financial freedom and all those things, it's probably not going to happen in his career. So that's probably not something I should just focus on. And nope, everybody doesn't have, and I'm not saying everybody should be an entrepreneur or, have those aspirations. That's not what I'm saying. But I do think that we have to start to understand how these things work in terms of our financial future and start to make strides in getting us where we want to be, putting real effort, putting real eggs in those baskets, because a lot of times we're not told to do that. And a lot of times people don't grasp that until it's much later in life, and they get to the point where it's like they're looking at what they've made or looking at the time that they've spent doing whatever they've done, and it doesn't add up to their vision of where they want to be. And the earlier you understand that, the better off you are, because then you can start to make the right decisions to put yourself where you need to be in those terms. And, you know, the career itself can be the catalyst for those things. There's nothing like having a stable paycheck. Let's just get that down. If you have consistent money coming in, it does help you navigate the financial world and be able to do all the things that go along with building your financial freedom. But you have to be honest with yourself about how quickly that is going to happen with those caps we just talked about. If you're capping out at $30,000 a year in the career that you're in, but you want financial freedom and your bills are, you know, $25,000 a year, and you're building a family, and that's going to take it to, you know, whatever number that's going to be. Those things you have to think about and understand that that career alone is not going to do that for you. It's not going to get you to that point of being exactly where you want to be. So just being conscious of that allows us to move forward and move into another way of thinking. And sometimes it's just as simple as, you know what, I'm going to do my career and I'm going to do this other thing on the side and, you know, build my wealth with that, or do these other side hustles and build my wealth with those. You know, sometimes that simple shift in thinking will get you to where you want to be. So you have to be careful in putting all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. And I know that's kind of cliche, but you have to be really careful putting all your eggs in one basket, because it will lead sometimes to that point of, oh shoot, this is all I have and I've put all this time in. Just like we talked about in another video, we want to get to the point where we're not trading so much time for money and getting to the end of that time where we're at the end of that career, or we're retiring from that career or whatever, and it doesn't add up to what we want it to add up to. So always think about, you know, how you can maximize your time. Time is the factor. Time is something you cannot get back. You can get back a lot of things. You can, you know, buy a car, used car tomorrow, go wreck it, and then go buy another one. If you have money, you can go buy food, eat that food, and go buy some more food if it's available. But time, you can never get it back. You can never get back your time. So be very careful of who you give your time to, how much time you spend on things like your career and all of that, and, you know, really how much time you spend on the other things, your happiness and your joy and what you're doing in those times where you're not working. Be very careful that you don't spend all of your time just working your career and building your career, when you really, if you think about it, there's always a cap to how far you can go. And I want you to be able to go as far as you want to go in life. I want you to be able to be financially free and get to wherever you want to be in life. That's what I want for you. I hope this has been extremely helpful for someone. And until we talk again, I wish you health, wealth, and freedom.